Alright, YouTube says I'm live, so let's hope it's not lying to me. So the Bevy Jam started 6 hours ago or something. 9 hours ago. I can tell because it started at midnight for my time zone. So oh god, I gotta stop coughing. The Bevy Game Jam started, and I've partnered up with someone to do the jam. So they're currently off playing video games in America for a conference. So I'm gonna get a head start making the game. I figured I'll turn this into sort of a pseudo example for anyone else that's starting the jam and seeing the stream. So I'm going to go through like all the steps required to actually get the template working. Someone beat me to the punch and already put up a YouTube video 2 days ago, so I'll do a live stream. You know, got a one up there. Well, the first thing we're going to do is install cargo generate, which apparently isn't going to work because install isn't a word. Oh, it's cargo install, isn't it? Oh, that didn't work either. Why did that crash? Well, apparently that's not going to work. What does it say to do? It just says install cargo generate, which I don't know how to do. I guess we'll just follow the link and see if that has something. How does it? Yeah, it just says installation. No time. I have been installed. So we're going to use cargo bin install, which can be got the same way of calling cargo install bin install, and then we call b install, and that'll allow us to install this. We want to include this. I don't know why it's popping my my terminal out, but okay. So that should install cargo generate, and cargo generate lets you like use GitHub templates. So then we come over here, we just copy this line of code. So this is I should link in the description the template that I'm using. So if you need it, it will be linked in the description. If I can find the description, edit template link. Okay, so we'll just save that. And anyone who doesn't want to go in the description, I'll post it in chat. So there's the link to the template. Where did it go? Okay, so we call that bit of code and we go run. So they tell you to use this, and then it's going to ask for things. So the project name for this particular project is God damn, why do I keep losing everything? It's my repository. I'm calling my game Hexadimensional because it's going to be using hexagons and multi-dimensions. So no, why are you creating it? Okay, apparently I've got to put in my itch username, so I think it's just PhaestusFox, but we'll just double check. I hope it doesn't ask me to put in my password, because I really don't want to accidentally link this repository to my itch account. It is PhaestusFox, so back here. So PhaestusFox, and something went wrong, and annoyingly, because it keeps goddamn removing my library. Okay, here we go. Now it's output. No, that's the cargo terminal. Why does the terminal keep popping out? And then because when it crashes, it won't let me. So project name is Hextradimensional. Oh, and it just crashed again. Okay. Did it at least download the template? Maybe I can do it the good old-fashioned way of just use this template, create inventory. So just if you don't know, I'm over here. I need to delete my old repository because this isn't the first time I tried this. So we need GitHub. Apparently, Embassy is the place I go to the most. So when I set up, it just takes me to the Embassy page. So we're going to go delete this repository somehow. Settings. We're going to say like permanently delete it, and then start again so that our template can have the same name. Delete this repository. Yes, I want to delete this repository. I understand this is permanent. Funniest thing ever. Please type this below. I'm just going to copy paste it. Okay. Then use the security key that I have. Okay. Use the security key next. Make sure it's you. Touch the security key. Yep. And good. Okay. Don't mind me. We're going to go here. We're going to go. It was called Hextradimensional. Okay, it's not going to be called PhaestusFox. The game is called Hextradimensional. It is public, because otherwise I don't think I can share it with my partner. It comes from the Bevy quick start template and create. So it's probably not going to work properly because I didn't use the generate, so it won't ask me for the correct pieces of code, like my itch link, but that should be fine, because, hey, okay. So then we need to go over here and we need to go, GitHub desktop, that's what I'm going to say, GitHub desktop, and you can see the progress I made on the previous one. Now everything's changed because I deleted everything. So if I say fetch, is that going to work? Because it's the same link, it's just a completely different repository. I've deleted everything, replaced it into the same location. So we'll see if that changes anything. It should be fine. Okay, yep, there's one pull, one push. We'll do that. Unable to merge unrelated history. Okay. So I guess that means just delete this, remove. Then we're going to add, and we're going to say clone repository from GitHub. I'm going to say we want this repository. This should work, yeah. Then it's going to say this contains files, so we're going to go to hexadecimal. We're going to select hexadecimal. We're going to go to clone. Okay, so Hextradimensional should now be all cloned down. And then we're going to pop over here and go, hey, I hate when it does that. CD, okay, we'll just file open that one. File. Oh, I'm going to open the folder. We're going to go into the Hextradimensional. So I have a Hextradimensional, and then inside Hextradimensional is a Hextradimensional, which is just the most obnoxious thing ever, but we'll just deal with it. All right, and then we're going to go terminal, new terminal, cargo, run. Oh, apparently I spelled something wrong. Cargo, run. And let's wait for that to compile. Now, while that's compiling, I actually have something I want to do, which is, oh god, they really made this look weird. Let's make sure it doesn't have workplace initialized. Okay, so because of the complexity of the game that we have planned, we're going to make a workspace with members so that we can separate the two. Basically, the game I'm working on is going to have like a hexadecimal grid, and then hexagon grid that then you can like go into inside each hexagon, and then it's going to be a voxel map inside. So I want to keep the hex code and the voxel code separate. So we're going to have a hexagon layer and a voxel layer. And the idea being that they should be able to like anything that's purely hexagon based and the voxels shouldn't be able to touch can be kept separate from the voxels so that they don't cause like big headaches. So then we're going to go down here and we're going to create the hexagon layer crate, which is that one. And then we're going to go out here. We're going to create the voxel layer crate like that. Then we're going to cd into each of these and initialize them. And this is the fun thing about Rust, is it gives you plenty of time to do other stuff while you wait for things to compile. So we want hexagon layer. We're going to go cargo init lib. So these aren't going to be standalone crates. They're just going to be libraries. And then we're going to go no terminal again. We're going to so cd dot slash voxel layer. Probably not going to work on the voxel layer much this episode, but we're going to cd dot slash the voxels. No, we're already in voxel layer. So it's cargo init dash lib. So now we've got our library for our voxel layer. That's still compiling. Good to go. All right, so we have our two things. Maybe we should organize this a little bit better and say we need a folder called crates. Like that, and then we'll move these two in here. Which I don't know if it's going to break them because... but then we can say that members is just anything in dot slash... crates slash this. So anything in crates is a member. I think that's how you do that. And that means that if we do end up adding like additional crates, like a rendering layer or something like that, they can all have its own stuff. So we're going to come down here and we're going to say my ID, hex ID, And then this is going to contain a struct xid, which is going to be a vec2, vec2. We should probably also include Bevy as Bevy. Bevy 14. And same with the voxel layer. This shouldn't change the compile times because Bevy 14 should be being compiled by the template. So should be fine just to include that even though we're not using it. Okay. The hex ID, and it's going to need to be included somehow. Still waiting for a whole bunch of stuff to compile. Alright. Well, we'll keep working while we wait for stuff to compile. This is one of the advantages of like learning the code rather than just using the IDs. I can, in theory, program a reasonable amount without needing to wait for the ID to catch up and tell me what I'm doing. So we're going to import hex ID, and that's going to have a pub fnq section self. And q is going to be the equivalent of self.0.x. Trust me, you really want to do this because it's really confusing if you try to remember which one Q is and which one R is. It needs to return an I32. Like, doing, like, really, like, accesses, I think these are called. Like, because in other languages you use, like, get, set. But they're just like accesses. They let you access the number of the underlying struct with a name associated with it. So I can do self.0.y, and rather than just keeping a Q and a Q and Y, no, instead of just keeping it Q and an R, like instead of doing struct hex ID Q I32 and R I32, instead of doing this and like accessing Q and R directly, I'm going to use the accesses because it means that any optimization that Bevy's done to this being a vector and like vector math, like if they've done any optimizations, I get it for free, and then we can do stuff like inline if we want. This I don't think is going to matter because there's almost certainly Rust will just inline that by default, but we can always do that. And then this is the one where you really need to sort of inline it, which is S, because inline means that it'll generate the code in place rather than calling a function and then running the code and then returning, which is extra steps for something that on this scale is so small that it's a waste of time. So S is going to be self, and the fun part, so self that return I32. It's going to really demonstrate how much time I've spent doing hexagons, that I can do a lot of this stuff by memory. So this is self dot q. No, it's negative self. It's negative q minus down on the line minus self dot r. There we go. So that's how you get S. Some of this stuff I'm going to have to like ask ChatGPT or something to generate. Also, ChatGPT made the thumbnail. I just added Bevy related stuff, like put the Bevy icon and then like put my logos and stuff. But if I could make some really cool looking thumbnails for just being asked to just make a thumbnail, I think that the less details you give it, the better a thumbnail it makes. Can you show me how to convert? I think it's cubic coordinates to XYZ. Cubic QRS to Newtonian. No, it's not Newtonian, it's Euclidean. Yeah, actual coordinates to That's not how that works. That is not at all the way to convert. Don't want to look up my old code because I mean, I've got drawings on my desk. I don't know if that's cheating, but it says like about not using public code and well, like not using private code. Like if you're going to use code that you've already written, use public code. But I do have it written down on a piece of paper, and I don't know if that counts because it's like one of those. I could just go look it up like on Google. Like it's not hard to find this information, but we're going to say pub FN x, and then x is going to be self, and it's going to return an F32, and this also needs to be inlined. So to get x, this is chunk calculation. So we're gonna need to go back up to here and be like mod const. Okay, constant. I can't spell for the life of me. Let's just have a look. Constants. Okay, and then we need is it 1/3, 1/3? No, it's not third. It's like the square root of 3. That's right. Const 3 equals F32 equals, and then we just need to go get a calculator and say this square root of 3. Square root. Okay, 3 square root. Square root 3. That's the square root of 3, and then we need const of 3 div 2. And it's also an F32. That equals, it should be 2. It should be like, yeah, 866. So we'll just do that. These are important constants for doing hexagon code because I think if we do it, I don't know which way it is, but it's like x is equal to self dot q. So if we say q is our x, so x is, it's a q, and then it's times, like, I want q to go up and r to go across, I guess. So we need to say that it's r times 1.5 maybe. I think that's correct. Not 100%. And it's as F32. So I'm pretty sure that's how you calculate x, and then it's inline the next one, inline. And then we're going to say pub, then, so next we get the pub, no, it's not y, it's z, because the y is always going to be flat, because it's a hexagon grid, not a three-dimensional world. And then F32, and then we go to here and we say self dot, I think it's q times, I want to say it's, oh no, I don't remember. I'm gonna, let's look it up. Hexagon grid. So if anyone that doesn't know about this website's amazing. It explains like all the math and like why the math is. So horizontal spacing, vertical spacing, as you can see, it's 1, 2 W's. So, and then it's 2.5 heights. And then down here somewhere, it has how to convert them somewhere. Just trying to avoid it because I do know all these numbers. It's just I don't remember which order they go in. So I think it's called point. Control F. Oops. Wait. Oh, let's shift F, not Control F. Point. No, it's called like 0.2 hex. Nope. Point. Drawing a line, we don't care. Maybe you go back up to the top. I'm pretty sure it's a goddamn headline. Ring point to hexagon. Pixel to hexagon. Okay. So it's the square root of 3 divided by 3. That doesn't make sense. This is the wrong type, isn't it? Pointy top? Oh, right. So, kind of feel like we want flat top hexagons because we want gravity to feel like gravity is down, and I've got an idea for this. So, x is equal to size, which we're just going to do one size hexagons. So, it's so 1.5 times cube. So, x is equal to 1.5 times cube. This is the template. This is what the template gives you. It's running in the background. So, x is equal to 1.5 times cube, right? So each one is equally spaced that way. So that's why. And then we need the square root of 3 divided by 2 plus the square root of 3. Okay. So it's... where do we go? So our z is equal to q times this create constants square root 3 div 2, and then it was plus, and then it's create constants square root 3 times self dot r as f32 and as f32. These are private. Okay. Pub. And then I think we're going to go up here. We're going to go pub use const. Like that. Maybe pub create. No, we can publicly export them all. Just so that we can just say create like this. Because the constants, I just want to keep them separate, but I do want to distinctly denote them as constants. All right, so that people know where they come from if they're reading through my code. Again, this is primarily based on the fact that I'm working with someone and I don't necessarily trust myself to write good enough code for them not to be like confused as fuck and spend more time trying to work out what I was doing than actually using the code. So first up, you need to be a component. Derive component. All right, so we have hex ID, which is a component. Yep, okay. So we probably want to make like a hexagon bundle as well. So we're going to bundle and this commented out. Oh god, just going too quick. There we go. Create bundle. So we're going to say pub. I think it's derive bundle. It's derive bundle. No, we can. I'm sure. It's just that. Okay. Let me use the Bevy prelude. Don't like that it does that. It just adds these anyway. Maybe it doesn't need it then. I'm sure it does, but anyway, we'll just go struct. Struct is in fact a hex cell. And we've probably just put bundle for the naming convention. So it needs a ID. It's going to be a hex ID. It's going to need a spatial, a translation, which is a transform, sorry, not a translation. Transform, it needs a global transform. Which is again a global transform. It needs a visibility. I'll just take global transform here. I'm trying to go really fast, and I don't know why. Just part of my brain, I guess. Just wants to go fast. Ooh. Okay. Don't start singing. I think it's calculated, so we'll just say viz again until we get the name. It's like computed visibility, something like that. Visibility. We can look inside the visibility bundle and go, what do you also inherited visibility and view visibility? So maybe we'll go to the spatial bundle, because that's what we're trying to implement here. Spatial bundle. So it needs these. Just all of this. There we go. Oh, I just copied. I hate that my brain does that every goddamn time. There we go. And we'll just nick some comments as well. Annoyingly, and this is one of the things I've suggested that Bevy implement, but they haven't yet, or at least I don't know how to do it, is I wish that adding a hex ID would be able to add the transform and the global transform as well. Like so that, because it's never possible to have a hex ID without I guess it maybe in the future. But the idea being, like, it'd be really nice if it could automatically do all that. Okay, so we have our hex cell bundle, like so, which we need to come up here and say mod prelude. What is this? Pub mod prelude, and then this is going to say pub use crate. Wait, we're in hex ID. This is not what we want to be. We want to be here. Hex ID, and pub use crate bundle, hex cell bundle. Right. So what else do we need in our bundle? We're going to need probably a standard material and a mesh. So let's go mesh, and we're going to say PBR bundle, and we're going to pop in here and see what is a PBR bundle is a mesh with a standard material. So we're going to need a mesh and a material, and then everything else is the same. So we just need this, except we can fix the types properly. So our mesh is a handle to a mesh, and this is a handle to a standard material. Okay. So actually, no, wait, we should just be doing this in 2D, so we don't need a mesh. I don't think we just need a sprite. Because this layer is in 2D. Pub texture. Okay, we actually need to get sprite. So we need a sprite bundle, and we need to like work out what does a sprite bundle need. So we need a sprite and a texture, and then everything else is the same. So it's just these two. We'll just nick those because it's easier than trying to individually extract. Then we just bump these two off and go shift tab. Okay, so we have a sprite, then we have a handle to our image. I've hit F11 at some point. So next, what we need to do is go to our hex ID, and we need to say, maybe add a plugin on our top layer here. Plugin. Okay, and this is going to be our hex plugin. Right, and then what the hex plugin is going to do is we're going to go down to our hexagon stuff here, and we're going to add like our systems for controlling magical stuff like the hexagon. So we're going to say so pub fn update transform, like so, and this is going to take in a hexes, and we're going to say this is a query. I don't like you. Hex. So this is mutable, hexagons, and then we need a mute transform and a hex ID, and then what do we need? We need a with change hex ID. So if you update its hex ID, it's going to update its position. So we're going to say for mute pos hex in hexagons. So now we're going to iterate through all the hexagons that have had their hexagon ID changed, and we're going to say pos dot translation equals dot xyz, and then we're going to go back to our hexagon ID, and we're going to just give it an xyz. Xyz is just going to be like a shorthand for don't bother me with having to create vectors. So this is going to be xyz. xyz is going to take in self and return a vec3, and then so xyz is just going to say vec3 new self dot x self dot x 0 and self dot z. Actually, I think that's wrong. We need to change this to y because we're moving in a 2D plane for the hexagons, which is just purely a... I'm going to do the hexagons in 2D and the voxels in 3D, which means that z actually moves into the screen. So z is always going to be 0. Like so. So update transforms, and then we're going to go back out to our lib and we're going to say app.add systems, and this is going to be in pre-update, and it's going to be update. So it's hex ID update. Update transforms. So this should mean that when we spawn in all our hexagons, we should probably make a module tests. What do we need? We need the tests to just be like spawn test hexagons. Test grid. Spawning a test grid just like so. And this is going to take commands. Right, and then we're going to go for... I'm going to have to implement an iterator, aren't I? Mod chunk. I have to rename some of these modules. It's going to be confusing. Hex ID should really be cell, not hex ID, because struct chunk. And you get AVEX2. So chunk is just going to be like a collection of hexagons. That should, in theory, be able to iterate through them. This I'm going to pinch this code because this code is the biggest fucking headache in the world to write. So I think this code is public somewhere, just maybe not this iteration of the code, but definitely my Untitled Dinosaur Tycoon game definitely has its code public somewhere. So I think this is just my new iteration of it where I've been rewriting some of the stuff. Tile map, script, chunks, mesh. So we'll just pull mesh over, and then we'll just go through here because it's none of it's in the thing, and somewhere I've got an iterator. Okay, maybe it's not in mesh then, because mesh seems to be literally working on generating a mesh. So maybe it's in hexels. So maybe it's not in chunks, cells, iterators. Yeah, okay. Well, that would make sense, wouldn't it? So this is a fill iterator. One of these doesn't work, but we'll just, maybe we should go in here and go chunk, and we're going to say, no, is it a chunk thing? No, it's more of a, so first off, we're going to go here. We're going to go, we're going to rename this to cells. This is the cells module, which renames that. Yes, good. Okay, and then cells, inside cells, we're going to say mod iterators, like so, and then we're going to create iterators, which and put that in there, and then we delete that one, and voila, we just implemented my iterator code, which cannot excuse me, mod unresolved module cannot find file offsets.rs. Okay, well, it exists, so I don't know what you're complaining about. Maybe I just have to save each one. There we go. Then we go to bundles and we go, this is, it does exist, so I don't know what you're on about. Weird. Okay, so for hex in cells. Great. Cells. Ah, it's not public. Odd. Use super cell ID? No. Wait. It's not good. It's got a hex ID, isn't it? Yeah. And then we just need to say... Okay, maybe to rename everything like a struct cell ID. Not static, struct. Struct cell ID, and then we go here and we go F2 and we say this is actually hex ID. So that'll just rename everything in the crate, and then we're going to say hex ID. So it's because it's got cells and it's got hex ID. And then this is preload chunk ID. Okay, apparently at some point we need chunk ID. What the hell? Where's it? I don't even use the chunk, so I don't know why it's in here. This code is dodgy as all shit. We don't have a new. Okay, we'll add that. This is another thing with implementing this kind of code. Is that I do have to go through and make sure everything works. So hex ID is fn new, which is going to take in a Q and an I32 and an R, which is an I32. And this returns a hex ID. It's just self vec2. It's ivec2, isn't it? No. Ivec2. X and Y, which is just Q and R. Like so. This is a hex ID. And then we don't use that, so you just import it. Chunk ID. Oh no, I do. Okay, size hint is chunk ID in range, which means we probably just want to disable size hint because for now at least I'd have to copy more and more code over from my other thing. I'm trying to avoid hex ID doesn't have equals. Okay, so we go back to cells hex ID. So you need to derive par equal and equal, which doesn't equal implement hash. And this is literally just tests that I'm fixing now. So I'm intentionally handicapping myself. And it's cells. And then we say, again, to rename everything, we struct cell ID. And we F2 this into being hex ID. So I ran all these tests to make sure everything worked when I was making this code, which is just fun. Self.offset, and then it says hex. Okay, cool. So we're slowly getting there. It doesn't implement debug apparently, which I don't know if it really needs to, but we'll chuck it in there anyway. Debug. Quick. So our library is still complaining because it says commands. It's not. Okay, see, use preload. It's like every time use preload. We're still working on getting all this stuff working. So super cell neighbors. The fuck does cell neighbors do? Okay, so cell neighbors is directions. I'm pretty sure the ring one's the only one that works, so I kind of have to. We'll just do this in hex ideas. There we go. Never rename anything now. So super to sub and so cell neighbors, and I'm pretty sure. Again, this is just going to be a bit of code we're going to have to pinch because. Not chunks, cells. Just because cell neighbors is just a bit complicated. I don't think it does anything. It literally just indicates which neighbor it is. But is it in here? Where are you pointing to? Cell neighbors. Where do you get cell neighbors from? It's in super cell neighbors. Which, if we look at that, super is so. Iterator and then in here, so I'm pretty sure it's this module. Just don't replace it, please. Oh god, that would have been bad. What does open with Notepad then? Just open it with Notepad. Somewhere in here is cell neighbors. Yeah, cell neighbors. Again, this is just me really trying not to have to implement just a million implementations. I'll go through and I'll do some stuff again, but some of the stuff I know was so confusing the first time around that I'm like, I do not want to spend an hour debugging which neighbor's which, and then this is replaced with like that. And again, I'm 90% sure all this code should be mostly public. It's somewhere if you go back through my videos. What do you mean? This is also public. Okay. Wait, cannot call. Oh, because it needs to be const. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that fixes that, which then should fix this bad boy. Okay. Direction cell plus direction. Where are we getting direction from? What is direction? Direction is a cell neighbor. Self.offset. Okay, so now we need to go implement ops, and this is something I will implement again because it's not complicated. It's just tedious, and it will show people some cool stuff about Rust that they may not know. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make, well, again, another module. So we're going to mod ops here, and we're just going to go create module ops, because that. And then in here, we're going to say use super cell neighbors and use super the hex ID. I should probably rename this to stick with naming conventions and be this is hex neighbor. Ah, no, don't do it that way. We could find it in the upper level. And go cells. Where the hell is hell neighbors? We're here. We say this is hex neighbors. I don't know why I change my naming scheme every time I start a new project. It is somewhat obnoxious, but anyway, we're going to say in ops. Yep, we're going to say add. So we're going to impl. I guess we should use core ops. Use core op. And then we want to add subtract. I think that we should probably add assign, but we'll do that later. So we're going to import add, and then hex neighbor for hex ID. So this, for people that haven't done this sort of implementation, sorry, add. Haven't done. Throw app again. What the fuck am I being so dyslexic today? Anyways, for those who haven't written like overriders or operator overrides in Rust, because Rust kind of seems to avoid overrides. This is how you do it. So you basically implement add, and then you can either not do anything here, which is add to yourself, or you can specify a type. So in this particular case, if I say hex ID add this type, this is what it does. The reason Rust does it differently is I can only return one type. As in, if I say hex ID add hex neighbor, it'll return a specific type. I can't make it return like a type, like an inferred type, like it does in something like C or C++. Where you return type, it's like you can override the return type. It's like, no, this will just return what I tell it to return, which in this case is type output. And in this case, it will always return a hex ID. So if I ever have a hex ID and add a hexagon neighbor, I will always get a hex ID. I can't return a neighbor by adding the two. So, but I could invert the order and say that a hexagon neighbor plus a hex ID returns a hexagon neighbor. Like you can do that kind of thing, but there's only one interpretation. There's never multiple interpretations you can get out of it. So anyway, add, and then so we're going to say, well, first off, we should probably implement the add for the self first, because we'll use that. So we'll say add, and then for hex ID, and then we say add, and then so it will return a hex ID new with self dot q plus right hand side dot q, and self dot r plus right hand side dot r. So that's how you add two together, is you make a new one by adding the two q's and adding the two r's, and then the output type is a hex ID. So that's add, and then for self, it's going to be, I guess we should probably just say that other equal right hand side dot, not next, other equals right hand side dot. There's something, one of these, go up to cells here and go here and go direction. I think it's direction here. So then when we come back down in here, we can just say the return type is self plus right hand side dot direction. So double layer deep, because we're basically saying self, then call direction, and then add self. And that will return the type. Okay, and then next we're just going to, we'll implement add assign and subtract and stuff, because they become really helpful. Helpful to add assign, and then we're going to go import add assign for hex ID, and then it's self dot oh wait, no, it's type. No, maybe it doesn't need a type, but does add assign require add? Didn't think it did. I thought you could add assign without giving a type. Okay, so then it would be self dot zero, dot zero dot, so self 0 dot y is plus equals right hand side dot 0 dot y, and then it's self dot 0 dot x plus equals right hand side dot 0 dot x. So that's how you add and assign in place, and then we could do the same thing of adding and assigning the hex neighbor. But again, it's going to be the same stuff really, because adding and assigning a hex neighbor at least still makes sense. Like you couldn't really flip this around because it's not really possible to assign a neighbor. So when we say add assign, we're going to say self plus equals right hand side dot direction. So basically it's just the same thing again, where we add assigning a self add assign. We're going to dereference it. There you go. So it just calls that stuff over. Now apparently we're missing something, which is some self dot cell. What do you mean self dot cell? Well, this code works, so I don't know why you're complaining. It's not copy. That'll be why. It needs to be clone and copy. So cell needs to be clone and copy. Clone and copy. And just input with fixed iterator. So now we go back to our, wherever we're running our test code. Okay, here. So for cells, our iterators is hidden behind a thing, which we should probably just say cells, iterators, hub use iterators, ranged. Why is ranged in there? Have I defined something called range? Ranged. Huh. I must use that somewhere, so I guess we'll just export the whole goddamn thing. Just pub use all of it, so that something else can grab it and then say ring iterator new. And we're going to say maybe a range of 4, and then we're going to say we need the asset server. Oh god, my brain short circuited there. We need the asset server. Res assets server, and then we're gonna say, let's just make sure I got Discord open, because in streamer mode I can't hear anything. What do we go? So we got our asset server. We probably should make out ducky, Bevy, squishy, squishy, ducky, 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 duck. So I'm assuming if we replace splash with my hilarious icons, PhaestusFox, I'm going to rename, copy, delete, rename, paste. There you go. So now it should splash screen the fox and then go to the ducky. But we'll check that in a bit. We're going to keep working on our hexagon stuff. Okay, we're not apparently using subtraction at the moment. We'll get there. We will get there. Okay, and in range. is range. Apparently it's never used, which is with offset. That's also apparently never used. I don't know when I'd be using this stuff. Anyway, let's go down here. Thought we could access it, but anyway. So hex in cell in cell. Okay. So we need to say maybe up here let handle let hex equal, and it's asset server dot load. Probably in assets we want to say something like, it is well laid out, and I'm going to try and stick to that. So we'll go hexes, and then so we're going to say assets load image slash hexes slash blank dot png, and then we have to create the blank. Did I spell that wrong here? Yeah, images hexes. Hate you. Okay, so let me say hex is equal to you loading that, and then we're going to go down here. We're going to say commands dot spawn, and then we go like, it's a hex bundle, isn't it? Hex cell bundle, like so, and then we say probably implement default. So we're going to say id is equal to hex, and then texture is hex.clone, and then dot default, and then we need to implement default for the actual the bundle itself. So somewhere we've got bundle. This can probably just derive default, because everything in there should just have a default implementation. We do need to go to cell now and implement a default implementation, which is just calling default, because again the default would be 0 0. So doing that, and then hex, yeah, so it's not a bundle. Okay, so surely we can just derive bundle though. Yeah, there you go. I knew it had a fucking macro to call it. Expected this, found this. Okay, do that. Found struct. Oh, because I used hex twice. Okay, ID. So this would be ID. There we go. So that, when we go here and we say config debugger session, this is probably not the best place to put this, because I'm saying that if we don't have debugger session, just get rid of this, but it's like we probably want to get rid of this as soon as we finish testing it. But it will be easier to find this way. We could probably also do something like sudo remove okay, so if I put to-dos everywhere, that like that, then it should be able to like find and replace them, or find them, so that we can work out if they actually do need to be removed when we release the game. But add systems, update, and then we're going to go over here and we're going to say it's test spawn test grid, like so. Why? Oh, it's private. Oh, God damn it. Okay, so doing that should do that, do that. Okay, so then we need to go to our main game, which is all the way up here. That's very confusing. Main game. We add the app plugin. Okay, and then we call run, which is hilarious. So we're going to add the app plugin. Well, maybe that's what we'll do then. DevTools. What does DevTools do? Log. Okay, lib screen game audio mod. Add plugins. Oh god, too much. So first off, this needs to. We need to go to its toml, I think, and say that it's just very confusing. This is why I don't like the auto-generated plugins. Like, it's very confusing. Like, I'm sure if I did this all the time, it wouldn't be so confusing, but the fact that like it's all laid out so wide, it's very confusing to find stuff. So we need to say hexagon layout, and this equals path dot slash. Does that work, or is it going to complain? It's going to complain. Okay, so we need to say dot slash crates. Does that work, or is it going to complain? I think it's still going to complain. I think we still need to go one layer deeper and say slash hexagon crates. Is that going to work? Well, I don't get a red box, so I'm going to say that's working. Then we're going to say, wherever the fuck that was, we're going to say hexagon layer. Hexagon layer dot prelude dot, and then we need to make sure that we include the plugin in our prelude. Well, it's there, so it should just be hexagon plugin. Maybe we don't need it in prelude. Okay, and it's got no data, so when we run this, outside of the fact that it's going to complain that we don't have a blank hexagon, so we're going to go over to GIMP, we're going to go new, and I think we're going to go like 256 maybe, by 256 as our hexagon size too. And then I think if we go to this star, get a pencil, and then there's a, you can say like, I want the size to be 256. Nope, that didn't work, but anyway, the aspect ratio, other way, is -20, 0 maybe? Not quite there. Angle is 60. Angle is 6, 0. That's the angle of the star. So we need flat top, so we need like to be like 22.5 maybe. No, that's 180. I said 22.5. 25, so 30. No, 15. Close. It may be better just to draw an actual hexagon. Do they have an actual hexagon? No. To draw an actual hexagon is just really annoying. Seven. 0. How the hell do I draw an actual hexagon though? Okay, so we go with like single dot pixels and color, yeah, red for now. We've got to work this out, which is annoying math because wait, it's a hexagon, which means it's, that was a pentagon or star, right? So if it's 256, means that we want to go to 128, I think, 120, 127. And then we're going to go all the way to the other side. We're going to go zoom, 127 by 254. That doesn't seem right. Apparently it's further down. No. Oh, right. If I scroll, it doesn't update the number. 127. Okay, so that's our straight line down the middle. And then somehow we have to get that to 60 degrees. So 120 is the... One would assume 120 degrees is correct. But it doesn't go all the way to the top, I don't think. Yeah, it doesn't. So we need to, okay, do some math. God damn it. Calculator. So it's something like square root of 3. Okay, wait. Hexagon point. Wait, I'm trying to work out the best way to do this that doesn't just involve me Googling and spending ages working this out. So we go Blender. I don't think I have Blender installed at the moment because I had to rebuild my computer. So hopefully this doesn't take too long. But what we can do is we can generate a hexagon. And I'm pretty sure this is considered 127. Wait a second, why is my pencil 4 wide? That doesn't make sense. That would explain why it didn't line up where I thought it would. 128. Okay, so it was 3 high, so it'll be fine. I'm pretty sure it's like 0.866 times by oh, there's Blender done. Okay. God, I love fast internet. I grew up with like the shittiest, slowest internet that we got Starlink, and it's actually fast. Alright. So we're gonna shift a mesh circle with only 6 points and a radius of 1. That's hexagon. Now, what we need to do is go, hey, what is your position? So see, these are at position 1 and 0, right? Which means 1 and 128. And then we're gonna say it's a half on the Y. So 128 times 0.5, which means it's 64 on the Y. So we need to go back to our thing here. We need to pick another color. So this is just going to be yellow, I guess, for marking stuff out. And we're going to go, we need to find 64 and whatever 256 is minus 64. So there's 64 there. And then we're going to go down here to 56, 55 and 64. And then the same here, which is, I'll get another calculator. We go 256 minus 64 means we want to go 192. Okay, so we go over here and go 192, and then all the way down, still on 192, but 255. All right, so that's our width for our 2, and then it's 128 times 0.866, which means that it's 110, I'm going to say, as our other point. So and come down to like 110. That doesn't seem right. 110. Actually, no, it does. 100 and... Wait, no, this because is that a pointy top? No. Right, because it's 110. And then we go over here to 125, 55, 110, like that. So it's there? No, that doesn't seem right at all. Oh, right, wait, no, it's probably 128 minus 110, so it's like 18. Right? And is that how the math works? Oh, God, how many calculators do I have open? All right, it's 128 times 0.866 minus 128, 17. But we're going to go round up, so it's going to be 18. So 18 from the top, which makes sense. It's close to the top. I just was not paying enough attention. So we want to go to 18. And then we're going to go all the way over here and go 18. So it's there. Which means that this is not correct. Whatever this is. Just going to select and erase that. Oh, God, it's turned to yellow. Get rid of the red for now. Black. All right, let's go back to our pencil. So we have there, there. There's a certain height up here that we need to know, but we need to go, is it 250? Okay, 255 minus 18, I think, because we went to 18. So it's 237. 230. So is it 230? We'll go 236 because then it's 2. Why is this not working? Oh, because I've selected something, haven't I? Like that. There we go. 236. And then we zip all the way over here. And we go 236. Oh, that was wrong. We'll zip back over here and hold shift when we do that. There we go. So that's our second one, like that. So there should be 18 between there and there, and 18 between there and there. And then finally, we need to work out the... Wait, no, that should be right. That should be all the points we need, because it's that point, that point, that point, that point, that point. Okay, then we go back here, and we go, okay, go back to our... I guess we'll do white as our final hexagon color. So we want to go from... here to here to here to here to here to here to here. Hey, hexagon. Paint bucket. Oop. Ah, damn it. Should have used a thicker pen. Alright, so what that means is we need to just go with the pen, and we need to go like... I think I could maybe turn the anti-aliasing down. Diagonal neighbors, there we go. I knew there was something I could do. There we go. And then we want to go like that, and that are also gone. And then we're gonna magically select. What do you mean? Why are you not letting me select anything? Oh, okay. Apparently it's defaulting to nothing. We're gonna color select, delete all that. That makes it all yellow. Then we add a background color, add upper channel, and then we select all the yellow and we say delete that. There we go. And then we're gonna file, and we're gonna maybe we should select this, and then we're gonna say select shrink by 1. Well, actually, no, undo. We're gonna paint bucket the whole thing black, and then we're going to selection shrink by 2, potentially even 3 would have been better, but we'll just go that. We'll go back to white and we'll paint bucket that. Now it's got a black outline, so we should be able to see the edges of the hexagons instead of just being a solid white mass, because you know, solid white mass. And so then we're going to export to our YouTube projects, assets, images, hexes, and this is just blank. Okay, and then we export, and then we go, don't need Blender anymore, don't save, and then we go back to our Bevy game, and then we go, that should work because we have our blank hexagon, we are spawning our grid of hexagons, so now we just have to go run and wait for the 3 crates that we've changed to compile, which 2 of them should compile really quickly because we didn't really do anything, and 1 should take a while because, here we go. So there's our splash screen. Hey, look, they're all on top of each other because we didn't really set a size. That's really loud and obnoxious, but so it kind of worked because, as you saw, like the hexagons were all slightly offset. But what we need to do is, first off, in our hexagon layout, and this is like the idea of splitting all the code up separately so that we don't have to worry about changing something in here, breaking everything. So I think we're going to go here. I'm going to say a constant. Where was our constants? That was in lib. Constants, and then we're going to say, I've still lost the constants. There they are, constants, and we're going to say pub const hex size, and this is going to be maybe 100 pixels. Like each hexagon is going to be 100. It's going to equal 100, right? And then for that, we now go back to our cell, and when we say, I think we'll leave X and Y as they are. Like when you call X, when you call Y, they will give you not times 100. And then we're going to times this by const, by hex size. Right. So we multiply by the constants. Let's get rid of this and then import that, just because it'll make things nice and neat. Whoops, scroll through. Right. So we multiply by hex size, which should make them bigger, and then when we spawn them, we do want to say that the sprite size is 100 or whatever. So in theory, that will allow us to change things, and then we're just going to go, hey, we have to remove the default from you, and we have to import default for cell bundle, the fn default, and we say hex cell bundle, and then fill in the missing fields. So this is going to just be default. We're just going to do this on all of them. So like that, and then you go down here and you end back, control shift, replace it with that, paste that, backspace. There we go. Okay, so they're all replaced with default except sprite. We're going to override. We're going to say that sprite isn't just default. There's probably a better way of doing this, but we're going to say size. I don't even remember. Oh, because we need to say this is a sprite. Then it knows what types we have available. Say dot default. Right, and then we're going to go here. We're going to say custom size sum vec to flat, and then hex size. Right, so that should result in our hexagons being a specified size, resulting in us actually being able to distinguish the different hexagons apart. Ooh. Yep, there's a splash screen, and now they're really far apart, which is not correct. Why? Wait, I used ring, didn't I? It still doesn't make sense why they're so far apart. It probably should be that the hex size is like 50, not 100. Oh, right. I should probably multiply their spacing by half. I'm hoping Rust is smart enough to know that this is a constant and then convert it and not use brace time, but speed's not that critical at this point. That's correct. When do I spawn the test? It's something like cells, hex cells. No, it's lib the test. It's just the lib contain the test. Yeah, the lib contains it. So when we spawn this in, it's not ring, it's spiral. Spiral iterator. So the ring iterator only spawns a single ring of hexagons, whereas the spiral iterator will spawn all the rings up to a specific size. Hence, that we only had the outer ring. Okay, and hey, it worked. Alright. There, you can see the ducky hiding right there. Our hexagon is not quite tall enough, or low enough, one or the other. Oh, the duck can walk. What am I doing? Okay, so yeah, brain shortage. I'll go there. So we're doing walking around. If the duck was smaller, it would be possible to actually like do that. We probably want to change their layer, which is I think that just the default Z to like -10 or something, so that whenever we put something, it'll be on top. Run that, and then I might want to run to the toilet after this working. Why is it only the one hexagon? Why did only one get changed? Like, I said X, Y, Z, right? Like... Well, we probably don't want that, though. Right, we'll leave it at 0. Probably want to globally layer it up then. We need to get rid of that noise in the background. It's obnoxious. So when we spawn it in, wherever that is, the test spawn here, we need to say maybe spawn the global layer. I think that's how you do it. You say like layer global. No? Somewhere there's a... Maybe it's UI that only does that. From translation, vec3, would it say z? Negative z times 10. Right. So there's our native layer, and then when we update the cell, we do it, we call xyz, and I'm gonna say maybe we just do like x equals x, and dot translation dot y equals hex dot y. Yeah, because that should mean that it doesn't tweak the z level, and then they should all remain below the duck. And see how that works. It did make them all small again, but I think that's because I removed the times 100 or something. Shouldn't have. Why did that break? That doesn't make sense. I didn't think I changed that. I should really also start committing this shit to Git. Hex size 0z. Okay. Oh, because we stopped using this. Right, which means that we put it in the right spot times. And then divide by 2. We just say div2. We say hex size div2 is just a thing. We could have called it like hex spacing or something like that, but let's call it hex size div2, which is just which is 32 and it equals hex size divided by 2. Alright. Now the trick is probably to rename this to hex spacing, like so, and then say hex spacing, and we'll call it hex spacing because if we decide to do something other than, the size divided by 2, then having it called a specific constant when you're referring to the spacing versus the size of the hexagons. So then we go run on that and see what happens. And run. Okay, there we go. Now the ducky's always on top. Now, is there a way I can make the ducky smaller? Possibly. So let's just mess around with this game. Spawn. When we spawn, level. Trigger spawn player. Plugin player. Player. Somewhere in here there's got to be a spawn player. Trigger. Ooh. Ooh. This is all using like the new fancy stuff. Textures, image handles. Image. Wait, what? Image key. What? This is like magic. Clone weak. Scale. Splat 2. No, we're not going to scale it that big. Maybe scale it 2 because they've made the duck really big on the screen. But I'm going to say make the duck really small so that we can just continue using the duck to wander around. And then I'm going to run to the toilet because I just really need to pee. And we'll see how this turns out. So we'll go here, run. Let's splash screen, play. Little ducky. Meow. Oh, and he's much faster now. Meow. Now, if I remember, we do need to base the hexagons not quite right, but we'll work on it. Alright, So I'm just gonna leave this music playing because it's really obnoxious and loud, and I think that's funny. And I will mute my microphone and be back after run off to the toilet. Okay, I am back, and I've gained viewers since I stopped talking and left, so that's, So, next, I think we're going to add like a player highlighter, so maybe we need to go to the actual game and add some game states. Do they have like a mod game? See, the game, I think, needs... We should probably make its own crate because it does things on its own that I don't want to mess with the stuff that is the actual the template as much as I want to just like implement stuff on its own that can then be called into the template. So the game layer, and the game layer is going to have the stuff like which layer we're in, that kind of thing. So see, but how do I get the hexagons to be able to? I guess that's the way. Is if anything the hexagons interact with, it has to be from the game layer. They can't directly interact with the voxel layer. That would be a good way. So what we need to do is, first off, the crate's already included. So what we need to do then is go to the game and go to the... We need to cd into it first. Not start... Oh, no. Terminal. New terminal. I'm going to cd / game... crates. Game layer. Okay, then we know cargo init init --lib. Alright, so this is going to be our game layer. So the big thing the game layer is going to need is we're going to need a prelude to be called in, and then we're going to say we need to derive a state. Oh god, state. So we need two. We're going to say struct. Hexagon. Yeah. Layer. And then struct voxel layer. Right, and the idea being that we can then implement computed thing on it. So we import computed how do we state? Is it calculated state? The fuck is the new thing called? I bet you I'm not using Bevy, and that's why it's confused. Oopsie daisy. It's going like, surely it's fucking just calling this or that. So it shouldn't take too long for it to compile it. And then so we're going to use the calculator state. And calculated. No, still not working. State. Is it computed state? I think it's computed state. Possibly. Computed state. There we go. For hexagon layer. and then the source is just going to be type source none. Just unit. So for now, these states don't do anything. So source, and this just returns none. And then we're going to import computed state for voxel layer. Type source is nothing, is just unit, and then your return type is just going to be none. So this is just setting it up. So basically, it'll always be none. Okay, yeah, because you're saying that these have a bunch of types they need. They need to derive, debug. They need hash. Alright, I guess what we can do is we say state. There's a derive for that in the snippets. There we go. Do that. And then copy that down, move that down. Move it. Move it there. Alright, and then it doesn't need to derive state because it's getting we're deriving computed state. Okay, so can't be state. So, okay, fine. We're gonna create a state down here. State. State enum game state. It's going to default to menu, and then it's going to say hexagon and voxel. Alright, so there's our state, and then these are going to take in game state, and then it's going to match source. And we say if it game state hexagon, then you return some hexagon layer. The idea being that we should be able to make like multiple interacting states. So we match source, and then just do the same thing of being game state voxel, and then this returns some voxel layer, and then we're going to say anything else, and you just return none. None. Your game type is game state. Same with you, is that anything else you're going to return none. So it's gonna work, I don't know. So we need to go plugin. This is game plugin. So we got our game plugin, and the idea being that the game plugin will then initialize the state. So app.init state. And the state is game state. So, and I guess nothing's gonna have the. It's gonna default to in menu, which is. What I can do is it's going to default to in hex state because again the template's handling the menu at the moment, and so I don't really want to dig through how the template like links in and try and set that up. But the idea being that first off, these need to be public. And game state apparently is leaked, so I just need to make this public. All right. So the plugin's also plugged. So when we go back down to our main game here, we need to go into its toml here and say we need game player to equal path like so. And then we should be able to go up and include our game So we need to add the plugin, and it needs to be game layer. Game plugin, like so, and that should then initialize our state, and then we'll initialize state and our hexagon. So we'll go over to the hexagon. We need to say that you want to on up. Oh god, it was spawning them every frame. This is on enter. So you need to include the game. So you need to say game layer, and it equals path, which is, I think it's from your current location. No, it's probably // game path, game layer. That gonna work? That should work. I don't know where it references its thing though. Location searched is creates hexagon layer. No. Why did you search there? Why are you searching that layer? Okay, it's called game layer. Is if I do this, does it search the layer above? Failed to load manifest for game layer. Failed to read. No, because it's... So that was right. Right, it says failed. Oh god, now it's just spamming it over and over. Or have I made a recursive loop? Alright, what was your problem? Package creates hexagon layer. Failed to load package at... Failed to read cargo metadata from this location. Cargo metadata existed with an error no matter. Game layer found. Location searched is hexadecimal crates. But if I go up one more layer, it tells me it can't find it because it's fucking checking some... Failed to read hexadecimal. Yeah, because it's hexadecimal crates. So if unless you say failed to fucking read hexadecimal crates. Location searched. No. Have I just spelt it wrong? Is it just... No. So you searched hexagon crates. Hexagon layer. Yeah, but why did you search hexagon layer? No package named found. Location searched. Hexadecimal crates. But why would you search there? I told you to go up. The path is up crates. Okay. What is your location? Crates. Game layer. Yeah. So hexadecimal crates. Why are you searching hex layer then? I specifically said that. Why are you doing this? Error fat. Why are you complaining? Like, I don't know what game layer found. Required by this crate here. Am I just searching the wrong spot for you then? Fucking, that could be it. It could just be that we're putting it in the wrong spot. Doesn't really make sense, but oh yeah. It's in game layer, please. That should work. Hopefully, not 100%, but we'll find out. Okay. Well, we made it somewhere. So let's go see if the game compiles now. So this should work because we're already going to be entering hex code, hex layer. But by default, we'll go into the hex game, which means by default we'll spawn the. See? Okay. So I'm going to say that it's going to be a commit because it's working. Added test hex grid. So next is we're going to go spawn a hexagon. Right, if I go somewhere, did I close GIMP? God damn it! No, I didn't. It's just now it looks like a hexagon. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go delete that middle section. We're going to select by color this outer ring, and we're going to make it like green, maybe. I like just using vibrant colors when I'm doing stuff that like doesn't really have any UX effect. Then we're going to maybe select in, no, don't select by color, select by fuzzy brush. No, why is it defaulting to? Okay, weird. Then we're gonna select. Then we're gonna shrink. No? Select shrink by like another 2. Then we're gonna select, and then we're gonna invert maybe. Okay, maybe we'll just. Why are you defaulting to the wrong way? Okay, so we're gonna select you. We're gonna say shrink to. No, because that shrinks it. No, oh, god damn it. Alright. Selection grow by 2. No, why are you. It's doing my head in. God damn it. Go away. Stop selecting random shit. Okay, so. Fine. We select everything, maybe? I don't know. God damn it. Alright, can we deselect everything? Just do that. Deselect everything. Then we want to select you and you. No. I don't know really what I'm doing. Just trying to make this bigger. So we want to say select. Fuck up. Select you. And we want to like just shrink our selection by 2. And then we want to invert our selection. I don't know how to do that. Invert. There we go. And then we should be able to like paint bucket green here, and it should just, yeah, there you go. That's what I was trying to do from the beginning. I just outline. Okay, I'm gonna export the outline like so, and then we're gonna add some code that will select wherever like our player is. It's gonna draw the outline around that hex. So we need to go to a hexagon layer. We need to go to a lib, and then we're gonna say okay, mod selection. Selected. So we're going to write our selected code. So in here, we're going to have a component. This component struct is just going to be cursor. Okay, so all the cursor does is just mark our currently selected component. So we're going to then we need to go to we need a plugin just to keep everything inside this module and not have it leaking out all the time. So this is going to be the cursor plugin, which is probably poorly named because it's not really, like the cursor plugin. It's the where the player is currently standing plugin. So in our game layer, we need to have the struct for the player. Hub struct player. Right, and this is just driving component. Drive component. Okay, the idea being that this is shouting in the background. This is going to be like our canonical player. Like anything in the other two layers that needs to refer to the actual player entity is going to use the thing flagged as player. So then we need to come back down here and go back to our selected. Right, so first thing, fn spawn cursor. So this is going to take in commands. It's going to take in commands, and then it's going to also take in asset server. Server. This is going to be asset server, just as the name applies. Alright, so we need to spawn spawn in ourselves a sprite bundle, which is going to have a sprite. So it's going to have a color of none. Okay, it's going to just default. We need to say our size. Custom size is going to be sum vec2 splat hex size, right? So that's our size of our cursor, and then the texture is going to be asset server dot load. What's that? It's images slash hex slash outline is what I called it. Assets images hexes outline dot png. Transform is going to be transform from translation. And we're just going to say vec3 negative z times like -9, I think. Well, it just needs to be higher than the grid itself, so just -9. And then I think we can default everything else. Don't default everything else. And the other thing is we also need to give it a hex ID, but we can do that after the fact. So when the player's hex ID changes, we can update this. What was the other thing? Oh, we need to flag it with the cursor. So it's the cursor. Right. So we need to go back to our hex ID, and we're gonna just give our hex ID a from world. It needs to be okay. From x, y, z. So this is going to take in a pos and a vec3, and it will return a hex ID. All right. So we also need a round function, which is going to take in a q, which is an f32. It's an f32, and then I think it also needs an s, but maybe not. I don't think so, because we can calculate what the s is purely by, and then we return a hex ID, and then we get to do the fun part of rounding hexagons. So the way it works, I think, is we select s equal -q minus r. That's our s value, and then we let r underscore s equal r round q equals q dot round, let round r equals r dot round, and let round f equal r dot s dot round. So then that's them all rounded. Then what we need to do is work out which one is the furthest from its original value, which one got rounded the furthest, and we take the other two. So if s minus s round s, I think we have to take the absolute value. The absolute is greater than round. So we're going to compare s to r. Maybe we should calculate the differences first because we need them multiple times. Let diff equal, well, I guess we'll call it s diff, and then s diff is equal to this x v. Yeah. Okay, so that's s diff, and then we just copy these two down and we say this is r diff and q diff, and then we say r q r and q. So there's all the absolutes, and then we say if s diff is greater than r diff, if s diff is greater than q diff. So basically, if s is greater than, and then else well, I guess why compare them twice? Should we just say if q diff is greater than r diff? So in both these cases, q is the biggest. Well, we already know that r is smaller, so it does need to be s diff is greater than q diff. So we know that s is the biggest, so we return a hex ID new using. So we know that s is biggest, which means we use q round q as I32 and round r as I32. So we return that. Else we know that. Otherwise we know that s is the bigger, which means we say new, and we say so we know that q is bigger than f, s is bigger than f, and then we know that q is bigger than s, which means that we say negative round s minus round r, wrap the whole thing as f32. No, as I32. And then we say round r as I32. Right, so basically if s is bigger than r, then check those two possibilities, and then else we need to check to see if s diff is greater than q diff. We need to check it again, but this time it's, I guess this time we can say let r equal because we know that s diff is replacing r in this particular case. So r equals negative s round s minus round r. Okay, so no, r q, round q. So we're going to say that r, and then we say as f, as I32. So we know that r is being replaced, which means that else we do this, and we say this with just r. We don't need to call it pass it now. So r, and then we go, so if s is bigger, then we put q. I feel like this is duplicate because they're in both these cases. which is we check that S is bigger, we check that Q is bigger, which means we know that R is smaller. Oh, because these are different because we don't do an R. Then we go here and we say it's the other way. So we still use R, but we just use round. Wait. If S is big, then I guess, no, because it just puts S in both places. That's how you calculate R's from R, because we need this one. It still feels wrong because this means we should only be calculating a possible maximum of 1, right? This one's saying, so if S is bigger than R, then S needs to be checked. So if S is bigger than Q, then replace S. Then don't use S. Otherwise, use S to calculate Q because we're not using Q. Then we say, if S is smaller than R, then we're not definitely replacing R. Okay, we're only replacing R if Q is smaller than S. No, Q is smaller than R, isn't it? If Q is smaller than R, then replace R. Otherwise, we're replacing Q. Because we already know that S is smaller than R. No, that seems backwards. Ah, God, this code is just nagging at me that it's just not quite right. So if S is the biggest, which is this path, we don't use S. If S is bigger than R but smaller than Q, then replace Q. If S is bigger than R and Q is smaller than R, now I think that's the same path, isn't it? If S is bigger than R and Q is smaller than R, if S is smaller than R and Q is smaller than R, then we need to use Q and S, right? Which is this. Yep. And then if S is smaller than R, which means we're using S, but for which one? And then if R is smaller than Q, then we're replacing Q, which means we want to do this here. And then we're going to say round bar as I32. I think this is correct. Except I put a semicolon. Yeah. All right, so this should allow us to round two floats into their correct hexagon representation. And then from X, Y, Z, we need to go back to our little cheat sheet here of converting this pixel to hexagon. We want hexagon to pixel. And so to convert hexagon to pixel, we say size times. So first thing we need to do is take out X and Y, and we need to say let X equal pos.x divided by hex size. And then let Y equal pos.y divided by hex size. Right. I think that should bring those back in line where they need to be for this to work, because there's that multiply by size. So this is hex to pixel. We want pixel to hex. Pixel to hex. Yeah, so there's a divide by size. So we divide them both by size. And then we say it's Q 2/3. 2 divided by 3 times Q. So that's X. So we're going to say, wait, what? No. Reading that backwards somehow. I have way too many tabs open. Close this. Close this. Okay. So Q is equal to 2/3 X and 0. So X, let Q equal X times 0.0 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. Okay, so 2 divided by 3. 2 divided by 3. Yeah. Yeah, it's vomiting this thing. Okay, that is our cube. And then we let r equal, and this one's a little bit more complicated because it's negative 1/3 square root divided by 3. So we need to go back to our constants and say square root divided by 3. So pub const square div 3, and this is an F32 and equals whatever the square root of 3. Calculate. So we need to say 3 square root divided by 3, and that equals 0.577. Alright. Not quite clicking in my head why that's the case. Need to correct the name. Okay. Then we go here and we say r is equivalent. Where did that fucking web browser go? There it is. R is equivalent to negative 1/3 times x plus. So instead we'll times it by 1/3 and then we'll minus it. So it's y times by square root div 3 minus 1 divided by 3 times x. Right, and then return round hexid round q and r. So that should, in theory, give us from xyz with whatever this is goddamn doing. On enter hex layer? Yeah, hex layer. On enter hex layer, spawn the map. Alright. We also want to say that we need to cursor. Where's that cursor plugin? The fuck did that go? Selected. So this here should be called cursor. So we need to say app.add plugin, add system on enter what was it called? I've already forgotten. It's called hex layer. Hexagon layer. So on enter hexagon layer, spawn cursor. Alright. So this will spawn the cursor, and then to clear the cursor, we're going to say fn clear cursor, which is going to be commands and I think we need cursors, which is going to be a query for anything. So we need a query for the entity with cursor. Fn type 4 cursor in cursor reference and go here, and then commands dot entity cursor dot despawn recursive, just in case I end up adding things beneath the cursor. And then we need to say app dot add systems on exit hexagon layer spawn cursor. Nope, don't spawn because clear cursor. Don't spawn a second cursor when you leave the layer. That would make no sense. So then we clear cursor, right, like that, and then we're gonna have one last system before our cursor should hopefully be working. Fn move cursor, and this is going to work by saying query player which is a query for mute transform. Wait, no. Yeah, mute transform. We need. Yeah, actually, no, we're not moving the player. We're moving the cursor. We just need access to the player's transform, and then with player, the game layer's player. First thing we're going to do is make sure there's only ever one player. So let's player equal player dot single. So that will crash the game if there's ever more than one player. Then we need to say player query transform player. So what's next? So then we need to make sure we get our cursor. So this one actually does need to be mutable, not like the player does. And then this is going to be cursor. And this is going to be, we need to query our mute hex ID with cursor. All right, and then we're going to say for cursor in mute cursors, let ID equal hex ID from XYZ player dot translation, like so, and then we say cursor dereference cursor dot equals ID. I think change detection only gets triggered when I dereference. So if cursor does not equal ID, this means that we can do things only when the player actually moves. We can still use the change detection because we're not overriding the player's cursor every frame. We're only overriding it if it doesn't match. And then we go here. We need to say that you've got partial. Why does this not work? ID does not equal cursor. We got as ref. Is it pretty sure? I really don't want to dereference it if I'm. Okay, that seems to work. It's just I don't want to be dereferencing it if it's because that may trigger the change detection. And we say app.add underscore system, and this is on no, because on updates are the thing. So this is called on update. Confusing. This is called in update, and this is going to call move cursor, and then we're going to put like a run if in state hex layer. Hexagon. There you go. So now the cursor movement logic will only run if we're actively like in the hexagon layer. So we need to go to run somehow. Run. This should, if all goes according to plan, spawn a green outline on whatever hexagon we are currently standing on. Well, now I don't see anything, so that's not a good sign. We only spawn the cursor. Why did this not get triggered? On enter hexagon layer. And why are we not entering hexagon layer? It's got to be that the game layer is not doing it right. So we're adding the game plugin and we initialize the game state. Do I have to dot init add computed state hexagon layer, and we also need to dot add computed state voxel layer, like so. And then my spell check's going to complain that voxel's not a word. This should work because now we calculate the computed variables and we'll see how it goes from there. Oh, okay, it's bonded. Now, I don't see the cursor, which is no fun. Getting too distracted by that fucking music. So we calculate that, we are now definitely entering that layer, right? Because, yeah. Do I not? I'm in the main game adding. So I should probably strip that out and say here, we need to say dot add plugin hex game, not hex layer, hex, or it is hex layer, but I think what we need to do is go to our main game maybe and say that you don't have access to the hexagon layer. Instead, the game layer has access to the hexagon layer. Because now it's like a back and forth web, but the idea being I just really don't want to accidentally mix the hexagons and the voxels together because that's just going to fucking melt my brain later, and it's like a confusion thing of like, if we keep them separate, then in theory, there's not going to be situations where you accidentally do something like have a cursor in the hexagon layer and a cursor in the layer need to have separate names, because instead they're from two different crates. You shouldn't accidentally be referring to the hexagon layer. So we need to add plugin hexagon layer plugin. Right. So now the question is just more about timing, I guess. Going like, hello. No. If I run this, what is your problem? Something's referring to hexagon layer. Okay, let's do that. Nope, still doesn't like it. What did I do wrong? Failed to read. Oh, it's because the stupid thing needs to be named really weirdly. So it needs to be like dot create hexagon layer. That should work, right? Because I think that's your issue. Is you don't need this. You just need to do this. That should work. Nope. Did I not save the difference? Oh, it's just dot. Wasn't actually doing the change. Hey, something went wrong. Does it depend on itself now? God damn it. Hexagon layer, which depends on... Okay. So it needs to be more of a tree. That's annoying. Alright. So you need to be able to see up into the game layer, which means that we can't be doing it like this because it causes a cycle. Alright, well, it kind of makes sense because this is less game layer, more core layer. So it's where things that get shared between them go. So we need to go back to your toml. We need to go this, and then it's this. And then crates. So that should fix that, and then we need to go back into our main game here and say hex layer hexagon plugin. Okay. Is that gonna work? Right. You don't do this because otherwise it's a cyclic loop. Right. So this is still working. For some reason we're not spawning our cursor. I am gonna see if I can go back to one of my other things and pilfer where I got the editor working from. Because I just need the editor to see what's going on. So we need to go like here, wherever Pong is, 0 to Pong. I think it's the Tommel. Can't be bothered fixing that so that I can see things. Edit with Notepad. Yes, please. And we go right up to the top level. We say, hello, please, 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 tack in the editor when you have a chance. Okay, so we have to do that, and then we go to Dev Tools, plugin. I don't know why they've done plugin as like a... So, and we say app.add plugin Bevy, editor please, editor plugin, default. So, and then with that, we should be able to just hit run and see what happens. Obviously going to compile a heap more because the Bevy editor please uses a lot more Bevy than just a lot of standard plugins do, but should. Look at that. Disable. This is why you gotta have cool stuff like this. It disables the console when I'm in demo. So I just need to work out because I'm not entirely sure why the one option is I'm just never calling it. You know what the other option could be is I'm never attaching the hexagon to it, so it's just sitting behind. So that's probably the bigger thing at the moment. So we need to go to so it's selected, and then when we spawn our selected, spawn selected needs cursor. It also needs hex ID new 0 0. But, you know. So now it's got a hex ID sitting on it, so it'll be moved, but it still should have just spawned in the middle on top. I should have also checked the console to see if there was like spitting out anything like could not load. The generator errors, it spat out some stuff, but it didn't say it couldn't load this. It could just be that this is never getting invoked because on enter hex layer, it may just start here. It ignores identity. So my concern with ignoring identity transitions is it could be that because it starts in that state, it just ignores it, doesn't run it. Which is more to do with the fact that I'm running code outside of the template. Like the template has a whole menu play start thing, but let's work out how it does its scene transitions. So credits, enter credits, exit credits, update, handle credits, activity, action run if in state scene credits. So splash. So scene playing. Is it still compiling? God damn it. It's getting close. It's only got like 3 crates to go, which uses my crates. Alright, so now when I hit E, we should probably name it. So we've got camera and we've got player, so alright, so we'll name it because then it'll be easy to find in the editor. Name new cursor. Alright, so now we've got the cursor as well. We'll just run that. Hope everyone's been liking this stream. I mean, it has been going for like 2 hours. I'll probably have to take a break at some point and like go get some stuff done and then come back. Maybe I don't know. So that tells me the cursor is just never spawned, which is interesting. So let's see if we can like tie into the actual thing so we don't start in hexagon layer. So that would require us to go back to our game layer, wherever that is, game layer. Yeah. Okay, we've implemented twice. I'm trying to keep the number of yellow errors down, so we don't use chunk, which is actually like a legitimate thing that it should be talking about. We don't use anything but the Hexel bundle. Okay, just undo. We need to get this to stop complaining about having extra parentheses, so that should be fine. And okay, so now the only things are like legitimate things that it needs to complain about, and me using which I really can't be bothered yet because it's more useful, but not gonna fix it yet. So what we're doing, so on our selected, we're entering there. So we need to go back to our game layer, and we need to work out how to not. So we need to change our default to menu, and then we need to somehow change our game state. So this is public, which means we can go down here. Then we can go scene. So how do you exactly, so you add plugins to splash screen. So we initially screen. So loading, playing. Okay. So since you have access to the game, we need to go maybe here. We're just going to add a quick like little system just to, we'll just call it small hack so we can find out. Oh, actually, what did we say we were putting on all our stuff that we're removing at some point? Is it you? Yeah, to do remove this from game. Anything that I'm hacking in that I'm going to want to have to remove later, I'm just going to put to do remove from game. So this is going to be FN, and so we're going to just take in a update playing. Well, I guess update game state. Okay, update game state. So, game. So, template state, which is going to be a res. What the fuck was it called? It was called like scene. State. Scene. I think that's what it was called. I think. Let's go to scene and go, how do you work? It's like mod scene as a state. It adds scene in its state. Okay. Cool. So then we need to go back to our main. No, lib. I don't think it was lib. What the fuck was it? It was like, I didn't see mod. I have no idea where I was just writing code. It wasn't here. DevTools game mod. Okay. So we have our scene here, and then we're going to say game state. It's going to be res game scene state game state. Alright, so then we access both of those and we say if so we're going to say match template state dot zero maybe. I don't know. How do I access that? I think it's just dot zero, isn't it? Get? No. The trait bound scene. Why does it need to be a computed state? It just needs to have state. Is it not called scene? Like, what have I done wrong? Why are you complaining? How did they do it then? Is it because it's called screen? It's this. It's screen, not scene. Okay. Dot get. Okay. Like so. Fill missing arms. So anything but playing returns game state dot. So this is actually next state dot set, and this is game state menu. Anything but playing set menu, otherwise game state dot set game state hexagon. Okay. Like that. This needs to be mutable apparently. This is a res mute. And then I think we call this every time the game state changes. So this is just adding plugins, so we can go up here and say app.add systems. Is this called on pre-update maybe? No, just call it on update. Update and then on update game state dot on dot run if on change state changed screen. Okay. Like so. So that should every time that oh, because it's like this, not like that. And I think it's not a call to the function, it's just a pass the function. All right, so then every time the screen changes, this will call this, which will then update whether we're in the menu or on the hexagon. It should mean that when we start the game, we won't necessarily start in hexagon mode, and then when we enter hexagon mode, hopefully the thing will spawn. I hope that goddamn works. Because as it's saying, it doesn't run on identity, so we can. Nope, still not spawned. Camera, bunch of stuff, play up. Where is it then? Can I just get it to print when we enter? Like, it just doesn't seem to be running at all. That's what's confusing me. Oh, because we never add the plugin, that's why. I'm just an idiot. It's select cursor plugin. We should really call it selected cursor because it's very confusing to call it selected and then like every time just refer to it as cursor. All right, that should now make it actually spawn in. So we may not have needed that bit of code, but it's not going to do any harm. Hence, remove from game. Is that it's just there to get around the fact that we are using the template, and the template doing its own thing, and then we're sort of just trying to hook into that best we can. Hey, it crashed. Well, that's a start, because nothing's flagged with player. Okay. Hence, we need to go up here and we say player. When we spawn our player, and we need to use, we need to go game layer, player as well. So
there's the player that the actual template uses and the game layer player, just because I don't want to have to try and get the template lower down. Alright. So no crash. Well, you're not quite there, Ducky. I think the scale is a little bit off. So my suspicion is if I move one down, it won't change, but as soon as I get to the next one, it does, which means I'm probably dividing by a number that's too big. So it's probably that I need to divide by player spacing and not player size. So I'm going to go to cursor. Somewhere in here, so the actual size of the cursor is that size. Somewhere we divide by, maybe it's here. We divide by hex size, which it should be like hex spacing instead. That doesn't make sense though, because it does say to use the size of the hexagon. So I don't know why it would be off by that. But that could also explain why it sort of walk a bit diagonally, is because it's still mushing things up too much. We hit run again and see if our cursor's in the right spot. Well, it seems to be working. So it's currently like selecting whichever hexagon we're currently standing on. Admittedly, we can still wander off into the abyss, but it is not expecting that. I didn't expect the screen to wrap. Okay. So what's next? What's next? Hello, the ducky in the corner. So maybe if we make this big enough to just cover the whole screen, then we can just call it a single screen, and then because it wraps, we don't have to worry about infinite generation or anything at the moment. And then we'll just add like some like procedural generation code to get things working. So when we spawn our test world, we'll probably seed it so that we can confidently test everything, or we could like hard code, you know, certain cells are certain types. Anyway, we need to go to wherever it is that we're fucking spawning the map. So somewhere we'll test. So if we just make this like 10 maybe, it should hopefully reach across the entire map. And reaching across the entire map will then allow us to wander around without necessarily risking it. So the fact that it should have spawned a giant hexagon either means I got incredibly lucky with my selection numbers and this is the straight of the hexagon, which it can't be because it's flat on top, or these ones are going off the screen and therefore not rendering. Anyway, a nice big hexagon map. Okay, so I think next we'll maybe add different types of hexagons, like a coal hexagon and an iron hexagon and that kind of thing. Just to throw in some art into this. So we really should be like file, save as where is it? YouTube project hexadimensional, and this is make it like a create folder template, and then we're going to go hex, except now I'm going to select this. We're going to go maybe make it this black, paint bucket, that black, and then make that white and paint bucket. Then we need to reuse this tool. Go no. Deselect everything, select there, and then paint bucket that white. Now the big issue is I'm pretty sure we concluded that the hexagon wasn't quite perfect. It needs to be like 1 pixel lower or something. Like it doesn't just doesn't quite work. So what we can do possibly, yeah, not really. It's going to extend up, but we're going to call it fine for now. There's just a small gap. But what we've got is this is the hexagon. So we're going to save. And this is our template, and everything will be built off of this. So maybe we should add a layer, new layer. Yep. And then we're going to like add some markers and stuff. So it'll be like yellow. And then we're going to like deselect everything with pencil. Wherever the pencil went, it turned it on airbrush for some reason. I think it's 255, 128, 128. It was 127, 127. This should be the middle. And this is going to be, I thought I said yellow, but apparently not. Yellow. Yellow. Yellow? Okay, maybe not then. I don't know how big the sides are, but we'll just use the grid, show grid. And we want to configure grid, and the grid needs to be, can we say percent? 30. I think it's a quarter or something. Let's open up our hexagon thing. If we go right back up at the top, the hexagons, when turned in flat mode, are size. I don't remember. We could just experiment and find out. Feels like it might be a bit slow, but I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna say no. Turn it to pixels. Pixels is always an option. So we're gonna say 128. But 128. Does that seem about right? I mean, it does put a nice little center on our thing. So we just need to make that yellow. That's the center of our hexagon. There you go. Maybe we'll just use that grid as the center. It does kind of show how our hexagon's not quite right, but maybe what we can do is we can select our 128. Like that. Like that. Right, and if we go one further up, we can go Control C, Control V. Control. Because we only copied that layer. No, go back to select this. Control C. Maybe don't. No. So yeah. Control. Good. Back. Control C. Control V, move it down 1 pixel, and then anchor layer. There. So that should hopefully fix our 1 pixel issue, is that we weren't quite 1 pixel either side of the center line. That's assuming that it is actually in fact 128 by 128. It should be. Anyway, next is to go. There's our center. We want to do something like maybe draw a rock. So we need to pick like a gray. I'm going to go back to the pencil. Maybe a circle. And we're going to go. It does look like a poop, but we'll be right. Make that a little bit smaller. And a little bit, just little spots of grey. So thinking of export. So this is stone, I guess. Doesn't really do anything as stone, because I don't think we're necessarily going to have stone in our game. Maybe. I don't know. Do we go full Minecraft? So then we want to go yeah, like black, and then we want to not magic wand, color select all of this, and then it's gonna have that little yellow thing in the middle, and then we're gonna paint bucket this layer. Don't select anything. Paint bucket. Oh, no. There we go. Now it's cold. Export. Okay, so there's our coal. That's not gonna work. Or actually, it should, because each layer on top should. Oh no, because it might. Okay, then we want to select by color that layer. Select that, add that, and oh, no, it just has everything. All right, then we want to go like this layer, select, invert. That just removes all that, but that should be fine because we should be able to just be like, do that. No, don't do it on the background layer. Bring it back. Okay. I just saw my little like view down here that done it again. It deleted the big chunk of things. Okay, delete on that layer, and then paint bucket. On this layer, delete that, paint bucket that, turn that back on. Okay, file, export as coal, replaced. Okay. All right, so file, new, and we're gonna have 32 by 32 tile voxel levels. So we'll go view, we need to show grid, we need to configure grid. Your grid is 1 pixel by 1 pixel, please. Yep, cool. And then we're gonna go back to here. We're gonna go, please select that color. No, that's white, that color. I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna just paint bucket the whole thing that gray. And we're gonna go maybe select that slightly darker gray. Just slightly darker gray, and then we're just gonna like that. And this is gonna be file export hexadecimal assets, images, hexes, and then create a new folder, voxel, and then stone. Export. Okay. Alright, so there's our stone for our voxel. So first step is to probably generate the map. So we need to say cells, and then really should just rename everything to cell. Anyway, we're gonna go down here, we're gonna go component enum hexagon type, and so we're going to have empty stone and coal. So we have our hexagon types, which are empty stone and coal, which need to be equal par equal not. Just for the sake of that. So is that public? No. Alright, next we need to go up a layer. We need to go, when we spawn in all the hexagons, we need to say up here we're gonna be like const seed which is a u32 equals 0. And then we're going to come down here, we're going to say rand equals nothing. Then down here, we're going to say let RNG equal rand. I don't want to use OS RNG. It must be STD. STD RNGs, because I think it's from seed. From seed. If we use, what is the seed for this? Can we just say seed? It's probably going to complain that seed is not the right type. Okay, SDRNG, what is your seed? RNG core, seedable, what is your seedable RNG seed? Why do you like this? Okay. Fine. We'll say that your seed is equal to, what are you complaining? What you're saying its type is not equal to an 8. So then we're going to go over here. We're going to go text to text to binary. And then we're going to say one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 11, 12. Actually, maybe we'll just go here. Hextradimensional. I'm just creating like a unique seed that is just for fun. Like, it's not like you can't just look up what the seed is, but we'll just do that. Yeah, convert. I'm gonna do that. Control C, Control V, and then we'll just 2, 3, 4. I think it's 32 by 32. So 4. And then we'll just fill it with zeros for the rest. So if anyone wants to have some fun decoding that, I think I still need to put like the B in front of them or whatever to get it to be binary. Should be fine because it's like anywhere it starts with 0, 1, we can just replace it with XB01 or 0x 0B. I don't know how many bytes this is going to be, but that's where the compiler helps. What do you say? You say that these are integers, so we're going to say F, and then these are going to be, we're going to, in the section we've selected, we want to find, oh, don't do that, anywhere that 0, 1 shows up. 0, what about anything where there's a space 0, 1? There we go. Oh, that one starts with 0, 0. Okay, replace it with a space 0, B, 0, 1. And that should do that. And then you'll just 0B, 0, 1. Alright, so your issue is that there's only 25 of them, so that's 26, 27, 28, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Did I put them on the wrong side? So you can tell me that's 33, which is incorrect again. 32. Wait, what? You expect it to be U832, right? Yeah, because it's U8 by 32. Ah, there you go. As I said, you can decode that if you want. It's a little bit of fun. Okay, so we have our RNG, which needs to be mutable. Okay, so we're just going to say, for each of these, we're going to say let type let cell hex type equal rng dot gen boolean. I think that f32 is p probability of being true, so in 10% of the case, in 10% of cases I want it to generate something else. Hexagon hex ID. Otherwise crate hex. What was it called? What the fuck is my... What is the module called? I am very confused. What have I done with the module? Oh, it's up there. It's called cells. And then hex type empty. And then we'll have to create a resource, which is going to again go into cells, and it's going to go down here. I'm going to say derive resource. This is going to be a struct cell icons, which is going to have a hash map that is a hexagon type, and then a handle to an image. Not another hash map. Handle image like so, and then we're going to import from world for cell icons from world, and then we say icons equals cell icons hash map default, and then world. Okay, and then we're going to say maybe debug, and then I think we also want to go strum. It's strum. So strum equals this, and then strum macros. Then strum macros equals this. So can I check strum macros? Strum. Okay. Otherwise, you're going to do something. Yeah. So we need to go to strum here, and we need to say strum macro iter enum iter. So now we can iterate through all the enums. They have debug, which means that we can say cobblestone and empty. So what we call blank is now renamed to empty. Empty. Okay. Then we're going to say for hex in hexagon types iter icons dot 0 dot insert, because you're not equal you're hash, so it's hash insert, and then so that's going to be hex, because there should be clone and copy as well. Clone and copy. Okay, so we're going to insert hex, and then we're going to say we need access to the asset server. So asset equal world dot resource asset server, and then asset server dot load format hex. So it's going to load
images. Images slash hex slash dot png. And then you need to just debug like that. So that should then load everything up into that. We do that, and then your return type is nothing, and then we return icons. So this should load all of these. As we have stone, we don't. We have coal. We have outline or empty. So all of those should be loaded. Just ignore the little spot of yellow. It's just me being stupid. So else you're actually going to be rng dot, is it like sample, and then hex. Is that hexagon type? Hexagon type. Just do it. Is that how that works? Can we just sample this? I don't think so. Right, it's hexagon if 1% of the time pick this. All right, so we need to go to like rand and see how to random from a iterator. How to random rust rand pick from okay, so it's rand was it rand sequence iter randomizer. Okay, and then how do you do it? You say vec, choose. Okay, can I say like, and we're back. Okay. Apparently the stream dropped. Apparently we didn't lose any frames though. We literally just disconnected and came back. That's, let me just say hex type. Okay. This stream is just really kicking it right now. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Odd. All right, well, it's almost lunchtime, so maybe once I've got this. Could not find asset image blank. Why are you trying to load asset image blank? It's not how this works. Oh, right, because that's just what we're spawning. So once I get this working, I'll probably take like a half-hour break, have lunch, something like that. So we load all the hexes, and then it's cell icons. So when we're spawning this in the test section is probably what we want to do. So we want to go lib cursor. Where is it? It's library. Yeah, here. So we need to say we need to initialize it as well. So icons, which is going to be a res hex. Is it hexagons? Is that what I called the thing? Cell icons. Cell. I could nope. It is called that, but it just needs to be public. Cell icon. Icons. Okay. cell icons, and then when we go here, when we say this, we say ID is that, but then instead of using the asset server to load the texture, we're going to say icons.get, and then we're going to say hex type. Right, so we just need to include that, which means I think we don't need the asset server anymore, which means we can just not load blank. Okay. And then we just need to go here. We need to go .init resource icon cell icons. So initialize cell icons, and then it doesn't have a get function, so we cells and we say import cell icons. So we really don't want it to be able to fail, so I guess it's pub get self, and this will return a handleton image, and it takes in a type. Type, and this just says so self.0.get hex reference to hex dot unwrap or default dot clone. Are you saying there's no default? Okay, unwrap or reference right. We want to go, we've got cloned unwrap or default, and then we get rid of that last clone and say that that should mean that when we run this, it should render a different cell with a 10% chance that a unique cell gets picked, and then like a 33% chance that that unique cell is actually unique, because I can't be bothered removing. Hey, look, stone, coal. So if we zoom out, like there are actually stuff up here. Okay. So I'm going to say that like for the prototype stage, this is the hexagon map that's going to be loaded up. So as you can see, we can see what hexagon we're currently selecting. We can walk around, and there's different types of hexagons. And then next we're going to take lunch, and then in like half an hour, maybe an hour, I'll come back and implement like the voxel thing. So like when you hit enter or spacebar, maybe it'll go into a hexagon map that, or not a voxel map that then we can use to render and whatnot our like actual game levels. So thanks everyone for tuning in to the first part of the stream, and I will hopefully see you all in the second half. Yeah, there we go. And